Well, it's our Sacco Mish. He had the fifth pick. He was fifth in the beer relay. What does he do from that spot? Well, first of all, let's start with his keeper, Devon Achan in the 11th round. You know, Achan's going end of the second. So to keep him in the 11th is a good. That's a good thing to have. How does he build around him? Goes very balanced from the start. Goes running back with Barkley, then comes back with Drake London, Cooper Cup. So through 4 rounds, we got two running backs, two wide receivers. Um, Pretty solid start. DeAndre Swift, Kyle Pitts in the fifth, Christian Kirk in the sixth, Jordan Love in the seventh, Tajay Spears in the eighth, Palmer, Benson, Keeper Achan, Brock Purdy, Braylon Allen, Marvin Mims. What are the best picks for this team? Cooper Cup in the 3rd round could be one of the best picks. He could be one of the worst picks if he's hurt. And Kyle Pitts in the 5th round. These are both upside plays. So Cup, if he goes back to being the alpha in this offense and isn't hurt, he's going to outperform all these guys who are drafted ahead of him. He's going to outperform Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, Chris Olave, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson. Is anybody surprised if Cooper Cup stays healthy for a whole year and Matthew Stafford, if Cooper Cup just outscores all of them almost every single week? Like, it's kind of cool to draft all those other guys because they're young and new, and Cup had a iffy season last year, and Puka's coming up. But what if Stafford just loves him? What if Stafford just loves him? He's a great value in the 3rd round. Lots of people won championships with 3rd round Cooper Cup a few years ago. Maybe it happens again, and to have him as your wide receiver too is a good thing. Kyle Pitts and Drake London, they're kind of they're a play on Kirk staying healthy and targeting the tight ends and wide receiver ones, like he did in Minnesota with Jefferson and Hawkinson. Slash, even if Kirk gets hurt and it doesn't work out, we got Penix. So, big bet on this Atlanta offense from that team. But Pitts in the 5th, he was going in the 4th and the 3rd a couple years ago with Desmond Ritter. So to get him in the 5th with Kirk, you figure that that's a really good value. Worst pick of this draft, DeAndre Swift is kind of forced in the 4th round. I don't love that. Would have loved to get like a Kenneth Walker who goes 2 picks earlier. Would have loved to get a James Cook who goes at the beginning, to end of the 3rd round, beginning of the 4th. Like, it is where it is. RB gets thin fast. If you don't take Swift, you're stuck with Aaron Jones or James Conner or David Montgomery, um, as your running back too. So if Swift gets some of the goal line work in Chicago, it'll work out fine. But it's a risky pick as your RB2 that early in the 4th round. Where's his team strong at? Depth in the flex spot. So by nature of starting with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, with Achan in there and Barkley, then you got Swift. Swift's not the RB2. Swift's in the flex. And then Christian Kirk's in the flex. And Tajay Spears can fill in. Who knows if Josh Palmer emerges? Who knows if Trey Benson is able to take over that role? There's some options at the flex for this team because they waited a little bit on quarterback relative to everyone else. So the depth should figure to be a good spot for it. Weakness is wide receiver. Like, it's very top heavy. Cooper Cup and Drake London better work out, or Josh Palmer better smash or Christian Kirk better get all the targets because there's not much wiggle room. There's only 4. Most teams draft 5 or 6 wide receivers. 2nd and 3rd round, there's not much depth after that. So, what's the best case for this scenario for this team? Saquon is a top 3 running back. Cooper Cup is a top 5 wide receiver. And the Falcons' offense is crazy good. If those 3 things happen, I don't know who is going to want to play this team on any given week. But the worst case for this team is going to be if the Falcons never really come around. That's a big bet on this Falcons offense with London and Pitts. Like, that could easily go south very fast if they just turn out to be garbage again. If Hurts vultures all the TDs from Barkley, they said they're not doing the tush push. So Saquon should score 12 times. But if he scores 6 times, he's a terrible value the third or fourth overall RB. Um, if Achane gets hurt or he keeps giving up goal line work to Mostert, it's not going to hurt that much because he was the keeper, but it's going to hurt in the sense that that limits this team's upside to win the league. But best case would be Mostert gets hurt, or the Dolphins realize, hey, Achane can do everything Mostert does, just better. So let's give him all the red zone touches. So there's a lot of. I just ran through all those scenarios. Any of them can happen. This is a big variance team. A couple things go its way, you're not going to want to play this team. A couple things go against it, it's going to be hard to scrape by wins. That's just the nature of the draft and how this went for this squad. Prediction in draft grade, tier 2B. It's a tier 2B. It's nothing special just because of how much variance there is. Like, you're lying if you say this is an A+. No one's going to be able to touch this team. You're also lying if you say it's impossible for this team to win. There are pretty easy paths to some of these top players that were selected doing well. The first 3 rounds are very solid. The keeper is solid. This should be a good tight end. Jordan Love should be a solid QB. We have some opportunity and upside on the bench. It's a B. There's no home run pick. There's no pick that tanks this team. And there's a lot of upside, but there's also a lot of risk. So that's tier 2, great ceiling and lots of risk. Now, you'll remember I said there's 4 tiers of draft grades. We're through 5 people. Tier 2's filled up. We got Mark, B-, Jono, B, Johnny Wolves, B. Those are all our great ceiling, lots of risk teams. So that's what happened at the beginning of the draft here. We have one in tier 3 and tier 4. So if you're coming up here, there's 3 spots left in tier 1. We have some really good teams coming up, and then we got some really bad teams coming up. So that is what we will get into next. But for Jono, for our Sacco Mish, defending Sacco Mish, he is getting a B for his grade.